Hey, so today what we're going to do is we're actually going to go outside and we're going to do some real measurements of something that we can't physically reach to measure. So we're going to use SohCahToa to calculate the height of something that we can't reach to measure. Okay, so we're going to head outside to the goalpost right now.
Hey, here we are outside. So you see behind me a goalpost. Okay, it's a football goalpost, a high school height, and the problem is that I can't reach the top of it to measure how tall it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use trigonometry to figure out how tall it is by measuring some stuff around it and making a right angle triangle so I can use SohCahToa. Okay, so that's the goal. I'm going to make a right angle triangle somehow, and I'm going to measure something around it so I can figure out the height of what it is without actually measuring the height. Alright, so to do that, I have some equipment. So the equipment that I have is a standard measuring tape, which you guys all know what it is, but I also have a clinometer. Now what a clinometer does is it allows me to point it up at something and measure the angle at which I point it at. Okay, but the first thing that I have to do is I have to use my measuring tape to start measuring from the goalpost to where I'm going to stand so I can know that distance on the ground. Alright, so let's go do that right now. Okay, so what I've done is I've pegged one side of the measuring tape down to the ground right underneath the goalpost. If I had a partner, my partner could hold that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the measuring tape and walk away until I feel that I'm far enough away from the goalpost to look straight up at it. Okay? So I'm walking. The goalpost is further, right? And here I'm going to stop. Okay, so I've stopped at 8 meters. And this is where I'm going to look up to the top and measure my angle with the clinometer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the clinometer up so it points at the goalpost. Okay? And I'm looking through the little hole in the clinometer to the top of the goalpost. And I'm standing at right about the 8 meter mark. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'll point the clinometer up. I will mark off the rope, and if we look at it, it's telling us that I measured 34 degrees as the angle of inclination. Okay? So let's just refresh what I did. Okay? I took the measuring tape. Okay? I measured away 8 meters from the goalpost, and then I measured that I looked up at an angle of 34 degrees to the top of the goalpost. I measured away 8 meters from the goalpost, and then I measured that I looked up at an angle of 34 degrees to the top of the goalpost. Alright? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back inside, we're going to see what those measurements amount to see if we can calculate what the height of that goalpost is. Alright? I'll see you guys inside.
Hey, so we're back inside now. I've drawn a diagram of what we've measured. Right, so there's our goalpost. I've labeled the height X because that's what we're trying to find out. Okay? Now I want you guys to remember, I stood some distance away from the goalpost. Okay, and we measured that distance. We measured that distance to be 8 meters. Okay? And then I looked up to the goalpost, right? And we measured that angle to be 34 degrees. Right? So 34 degrees. So here we have a right angle triangle, right? 8 meters, 34 degrees. So we're going to use SohCahToa to find out what that is. Okay? So remember, for SohCahToa, we have to name the sides. So this is opposite the 90 degrees. So that's the hypotenuse. Here's the angle. So that side is opposite. And this side is adjacent to the angle. So that's adjacent. Okay? Now we have to decide which of these three parts do we need in order to solve the problem. So we have opposite and adjacent that we know or need to know. So that means O and A. So here's O and A together, right? So that means that we're going to use tan. So let's write our equation. So the angle is 34. So tan 34 is equal to opposite, which is X, over adjacent, which is 8. Okay? So the next thing I want to do is figure out what tan 34 is. So I'm going to use my calculator for that. So tan 34 is 0.67. Okay? So 0.67 is X over 8. The next thing I want to do is I need to get rid of that 8 so I can isolate x. So that means we're going to multiply both sides by 8. And we get 0.67 times 8 is equal to x. So 0.67 times 8 ends up being 5.36. Okay, so that means x is 5.36. So here I can write 5.36 meters. That's the height of the goalpost. Okay, so that's how we're going to use trigonometry to solve real-life problems. We figure out an angle of inclination, we do a measurement that we can do, and we find the height of something that we really had no way to measure. All right, so that's it.